Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I always thought Sarah and I had a solid relationship. Sure, we had our ups and downs like any married couple, but for the most part, I believed we were happy. That belief was shattered when Sarah decided she needed a girls' trip to Cancun. It all started with an argument. "I just think it's odd," I said, pacing the living room. "Why do you need to go all the way to Cancun with your friends? Can't you just have a weekend here, maybe a spa trip?" Sarah rolled her eyes. "Peter, for the love of God, it's just a trip. We've been planning this for a while with Lisa and Maria, okay? I've been working nonstop and I need this. You don't get to control me." "I'm not trying to control you," I shot back, feeling the tension rise. "But a whole week? With your friends? It just feels off. You've never done anything like this before." "Exactly," she snapped, her tone sharp. "I've never done anything like this before and I deserve it. I don't need your permission. I'm going, and that's final." I sighed, defeated. "Fine. Do whatever you want, Sarah. But don't expect me to be thrilled about it." The following Monday she was gone, suitcase in hand and excitement written all over her face. For the first 2 days she sent me regular updates. Pictures of her lounging on the beach with a cocktail and short texts about how much fun they were having. But then came day 3. That afternoon I was out running errands when I saw someone familiar at the grocery store. It was Lisa. My heart skipped a beat. What was she doing here? She was supposed to be in Cancun with Sarah. I ducked behind a display of cereal boxes, watching her from a distance. If she saw me, she would have told Sarah, and she would know that I had figured out her lie. She was alone, casually browsing the aisles, completely oblivious to the fact that she shouldn't be here. My mind raced. If Lisa was here, then who the hell was Sarah with? When I got home, I immediately called Sarah. She picked up on the 3rd ring. "Hey, babe," she said, her voice light and airy as if nothing was wrong. "Hey," I replied, forcing calm into my voice. "How was your day?" "It's been great," she said, her tone cheerful. "We spent most of it on the beach, and now we're getting ready for a boat tour." "That sounds fun," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Yeah, but Lisa's yelling at me right now," she added with a nervous laugh. "We're running late and she's all stressed about it. I have to go. Talk later?" "Sure. Give Lisa my regards," I said, my jaw tightening. "Have fun." "I will," she said, and the line went dead. I knew she was lying. She'd claimed Lisa was with her, but I had seen Lisa at the grocery store, alone. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed the conversation over and over. The image of Lisa casually shopping here in town haunted me. Sarah's trip felt off from the very start, but now I was certain she wasn't being honest with me. The question was, how could I prove it? Unable to shake the nagging suspicion, I decided to act immediately. Around midnight, I picked up my phone and called a private investigator I'd heard about through a colleague. His name was Marcus, a no-nonsense guy with a reputation for getting results. "Marcus speaking," he answered, his voice firm and professional. "Marcus, this is Peter. Sorry for calling you so late, but I need your help. It's an emergency." My voice was low, urgent. I quickly explained everything: Sarah's trip to Cancun, the suspicious phone call, and most importantly, seeing Lisa here in town. "Sounds fishy," Marcus said after a pause. "Do you want me to look into it?" "Yes, absolutely," I replied, "but I need answers fast." "I can get on the first flight to Cancun in the morning," he said. "I'll track her down, see what's really going on." "Thank you," I said, feeling a mix of anxiety and relief. "Expect an update within 24 hours, Marcus promised. True to his word, Marcus was in Cancun by mid-morning. He called me as soon as he landed to let me know he was on the ground and starting his investigation. For the rest of the day, I was on edge, checking my phone constantly and jumping at every notification. By the end of the day, I got the call I'd been dreading. "Peter, I've got something," Marcus said. "Do you want the short version or the full report?" "Tell me everything," I said, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. "Your wife isn't with her friends," Marcus began, his tone matter-of-fact. "She's here with a man. I followed them this afternoon. They're staying at a luxury resort together. I've got pictures and video." My stomach dropped and my heart raced. "Are you sure? I mean, could it be a mistake?" "No mistake," Marcus said firmly. "See for yourself. I'm sending you the files now." A moment later, my phone buzzed with a series of images and videos. My hand trembled as I opened them. The first image showed Sarah walking hand in hand with a tall, dark-haired man, both of them laughing as they strolled along the resort's beach. Another showed them lounging on sunbeds by the pool, drinks in hand. My chest tightened as I scrolled to the next one. The man leaning in to kiss her, and her kissing him back without hesitation. But the worst came last. A short video. It showed Sarah and the man heading into their hotel room together, arm in arm, their bodies close, their smiles carefree. My stomach churned and my mind raced. Every fear, every suspicion, it was all true. Sarah wasn't just lying to me, she was living an entirely different life behind my back. "What do you want me to do next?" Marcus asked, breaking the silence. "Keep watching," I said, my voice hoarse. "Document everything." "Understood," he said. "I'll stay on it." I hung up, my head spinning. Sarah's betrayal was no longer a suspicion. It was a cold, hard reality. And now I had to decide what to do with the truth. The next morning, after a sleepless night of staring at the damning photos and videos, I knew what I had to do. There was no coming back from this. Sarah had crossed a line, and I was determined to protect myself from the fallout. I scheduled a meeting with a divorce lawyer that very day. Sitting in the lawyer's office, I laid everything out. The evidence of Sarah's affair, the pictures and the videos Marcus had sent me. "My priority is to ensure she walks away with nothing," I told the lawyer, my voice cold and resolute. "She lied to me, cheated on me, and destroyed our marriage. I want this handled quickly, and I want my assets protected." The lawyer nodded, taking notes. "With this evidence, you have a solid case. We can file for divorce on the grounds of infidelity, and with the proof you've provided, the court is unlikely to award her much, if anything. I'll also help you secure your financial assets immediately." That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Before leaving the lawyer's office, I transferred all the money from our joint account into my personal account, leaving the joint account empty. It was harsh, but fair. I wasn't about to let her betrayal cost me financially, too. Next, I called a locksmith. By the time he was done, the locks on every door of our house had been changed. Sarah wouldn't be able to walk back into my home like nothing had happened. A few days later, Sarah texted me to let me know she'd take a taxi from the airport and that I didn't need to pick her up. That suited me just fine. I wasn't interested in pretending everything was normal. A few hours before she landed, I packed all of her things and moved them out to the front yard, right next to the door. Our marriage was over, and I didn't want her in the house anymore. When her taxi pulled into the driveway, she stepped out, suitcase in hand. Her confident smile faded as she saw her belongings piled neatly in the front yard. Clothes, shoes, personal items, all packed in boxes and bags. She looked around, confused, then walked to the door and tried to unlock it, but the key didn't work. "What the hell?" I heard her mutter as she tried again, jiggling the key in the lock. When it became clear the door wouldn't budge, she started pounding on it. "Peter," she shouted, "what's going on? Open the door." I waited a moment before opening it. When I finally did, I was greeted by her furious, confused face. "What is this?" she demanded, gesturing wildly toward the yard. "Why are my things out there? Why did you change the locks?" I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. "I think you know why, Sarah." She froze for a second, then scoffed. "No, I don't. What's wrong with you? I just got back from a trip and you've lost your mind." "Don't play dumb with me," I said, my voice cold. "I know about Cancun. I know you weren't with your friends. I know exactly who you were with." Her face turned pale. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, her voice shaking. I pulled out my phone, opened the folder Marcus had sent me, and showed her the pictures. One by one, I swiped through them. The hand-holding, the kisses, the cozy sunbeds, the hotel room entry. Her eyes widened in horror. "I can explain," she began, but I cut her off. "Explain what? That you lied to me? That you cheated on me? That you spent a week with another man while pretending to be on a girls' trip? There's nothing to explain, Sarah. I know everything." She started to cry, but I wasn't moved. "Peter, please, it's not what it looks like. I made a mistake." "A mistake?" I interrupted, my voice rising. "A mistake is forgetting to turn off the oven. This was a calculated betrayal. You lied, you snuck around, and you didn't even have the decency to feel guilty about it." She sobbed harder, but I pressed on. "I've filed for divorce," I said bluntly. "I've spoken to a lawyer, and you're not getting a damn thing from me. Your things are outside, and you can take them wherever you want, but you're not staying here." Her expression turned from sorrow to anger. "You can't do this to me," she shouted. "This is my home too." "Not anymore," I said. "You destroyed our home the moment you decided to betray me. Now get your stuff and leave." She stared at me, her chest heaving with anger and disbelief. For a moment I thought she might argue more, but then she turned and stormed off toward her belongings. I shut the door behind her, locking it firmly, and leaned against it. For the first time in days, I felt a sense of peace. After she left, I took a deep breath and made one final decision. I gathered the photos and videos that proved everything and sent them to her parents. I wanted them to know the full truth, why we were getting divorced and who their daughter truly was. It wasn't about revenge. It was about showing them the reality of what had happened. They needed to understand the truth. The betrayal had cut deep, but I was done being a victim. Now, it was time to move on. The months that followed were a whirlwind of paperwork, legal meetings, and an overwhelming sense of finality. Sarah was furious, but she was also caught in her lies. She tried to fight back, claiming that everything had been a misunderstanding, that I was overreacting, that the affair was nothing serious. But the evidence I had, pictures, videos, and phone records, was irrefutable. She tried to call and text, begging me to reconsider, but I ignored her messages. I was done. This wasn't just about the affair. It was about the fact that she'd broken my trust, lied to my face, and disrespected me in the worst possible way. The divorce proceedings were surprisingly quick. With the proof of her infidelity, I had a solid case. My lawyer handled everything, filing for divorce on the grounds of adultery. We also filed for legal separation of assets, and with my swift actions, moving the money and protecting my property, I ensured that Sarah had no claim on anything. She was left with very little, a few clothes, some personal items, and her own guilt. She moved into a small apartment, her once comfortable lifestyle shattered. She sent a few texts apologizing, asking to talk, but I had nothing more to say. I focused on rebuilding my life. The divorce brought a mix of relief and anger, relief from the lies and betrayal, and anger for not seeing it sooner. But over time, the anger faded, replaced by empowerment. I took control of my life and walked away stronger. A few months later, I moved to a new city for a fresh start. I threw myself into my work, met new people, and slowly rebuilt my sense of self. Occasionally, I thought back on the marriage, but the sadness was always outweighed by the knowledge that I was better off without her. As for Sarah, I heard through mutual friends that she eventually married the man she went to Cancun with. They seemed happy, but after a year and a half, they broke up because she cheated on him too. In the end, I realized that facing painful truths and making hard decisions led to true freedom. I was no longer tied to the past. I was free. Thank you for watching.